So this was a 27-year-old woman had presented with a left temporal hemorrhage and seizure many years ago. Had this AVM. You can see left temporal lobes of dominant hemisphere. There's some surrounding damage on that flare sequence. You can see where that dominant hemisphere has been injured. You can see a number of small little tiny PL collaterals that are really, really tough to get in with any sort of catheter access. The patient, in addition, has this venous stenosis. That's actually labe on the dominant side, so a really important vein. So we tried to do this completely endovascularly, with the idea being that we would put some balloons on the arterial side, blow that up, get arterial control, and then go in on the venous side and push glue. Once we no longer have the forward flow through the artery, we gotta be able to push the glue backwards through the entire thing and kill it. So that's what we tried to do. We got our guide catheter up there. We tried to get access. We actually spent quite a long time on live TV for a case broadcast trying to get into that venous access, and we're ultimately unable to. This is a sort of a cartoon of what our plan was to do. And you put a bunch of coils in there. That gives you sort of a pressure cooker where you can push all your glue forward, transvenous pacing. This was the plan. It was going to work great, except it didn't. Right, so we get in there and we are trying to get into the venous side of things, and it just will not go. For the life of us, we can't get it to flow because of that venous stenosis that we had. You're making a right angle turn, and it just wasn't working. So we said, fine, pack our bags, go back and send the patient to the ICU, come back the next day. Now we're going to do a hybrid approach. Patient's now in the hybrid OR. We're going to do a small craniotomy now right over where labe is, right? We know where the vein is. We just couldn't get in there from the groin. So we make a small craniotomy. You can see here that very large vein coursing through the middle of the field, some of the surrounding arteries that are uninvolved. We're going to skeletonize that vein. And now we have complete control over that vein. And what we'll do is, this is using a flow probe. We're able to actually measure the AVM output, both pre and post, and see how things go. We're using that transvenous pacing again, get the cardiologist down in the OR, boost the heart rate, lower the pressure. And when we do that, we're able to see the flow through that vein with that flow probe drops dramatically. Now we've got direct access. We have our catheter up on the arterial side. We have control on the venous side. And what we can do is, under very controlled conditions, push that glue retrograde and completely fill that AVM. You can see those very small vessels. Now you'll watch as we start to inject the glue. You can see that's some dye. And now, so that's what the vein is going to look like. Now watch as we start to push the glue, you're going to see it completely starting to penetrate all throughout that nidus. And let me skip ahead here a little bit. As we're pushing, now you can see you can see the catheter coming in, and we're just holding it with a pair of forceps and just pushing the glue all through the nidus, going retrograde and filling in all of those little tiny pedicles. Patient did well. Had an embo cure. We were able to ultimately get her out of the ICU, I think, after a couple of days. We usually like to keep them asleep, keep the pressures down for a day or two, and then wake them up, and see how they're doing. In this case, she did very well. Ended up going home, I think, on post-op day 3 or 4.
Hey everyone, Ryan Rad here from Neurosurgerytraining.org. If you like that video, subscribe and donate to keep our content available for medical students across the world.